But Hardy did it too.
Hardy did, yeah. Hardy stepped up and did the same thing.
I said, "So what are you doing?" I heard you were wanting to do Hillbilly Deluxe, and I could just tell by the twinkle in his eye. I'm like, he's up to something. He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I'm gonna get it." I said, "Well, tear the hide off it, man." I said, "That's always been one of my favorite songs that we ever did." He goes, "Me too." He goes, I go, "Well, get on it." He goes, "Oh, I'm gonna get on it."
Normally, I conduct these interviews from my New York City apartment, so I don't normally just have a giant ship painting on my wall.
Oh, don't act like you're not a sailor, Emily. You don't have to apologize to us.
Bro, you're not bragging about your
That's
boat.
right. Everybody's not a
I know,
cowboy.
you know how it goes. I'm actually here in Florida on vacation with my family.
Oh, nice.
So I'm getting really cool amp points by coming to chat with you guys. But it's so funny because I, grew up in Georgia, but lived in New York for 10 years now. So it's always fun to get like a taste of country music. And this is so exciting. We're so excited about Reboot 2. This is, great chatting with you guys. And I feel like the magic of the music that you guys create is right here. It's the two of you. So before we even get into this, I want to give you a moment to brag about the other one. What is it about working together that makes this so fun and so easy all of these years later?
I don't know that it's easy. It's fun. We've said all along that our differences are our strengths. We've never at any time within the 30 plus years that we've worked together raised our voices to one another for fear of being killed or murdered. We just kind of have that. We come from the same part of the country. He's in like northern Louisiana. All my grandparents lived in southern central Arkansas, even though I'm pretty much raised in Texas and Oklahoma. There's just a certain, thing that happens and you get along.
Mm-hmm.
Not that anything that I just mentioned has anything to do with how two people get along, but we just do.
It does, yeah, it works.
For us, not knowing each other at all when we met, we could literally, when we met to be creative, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it, with Tim Dubois literally introducing us on a Tuesday, encouraging us just at least try to see if you can write a song together, please, after a conversation that really wasn't going anywhere, and us trying and writing what became our first two #1 records on the songs we wrote that week. We really got thrown into it. I was just thinking of this because Ronnie's answer is correct, but also creatively is the hardest part, because not being real personal with the way we create stuff and whatever, I think, in general, and then figuring out how to share that, I think, has always been a little difficult for us. Not trying to get in each other's way or trying to stay out of each other's way can be a little inhibiting, as opposed to just some friends on the outside. Between the two of us as a partnership, it's really one of the most difficult things. When we do, some cool stuff comes out of it. When those days when we can make it work, it really is. But it's also something that we kind of dance around trying to get there, I think, sometimes. And
it's two different points of reference to creativity. We're songwriters first and foremost. We have to accept that about one another and give each one another space to express that. And any kind of partnership, no matter what it is, marriage, whatever, it's a compromise. So you just have to work it that way.
Taking care of business has always been real easy for us. We've never had a contract. We've always totally trusted each other for 30-something years without knowing each other. So that part of it, when we got to sit down and do where are we touring, we can nickel and dime that really quick through a meeting, where we very much agree and disagree with whoever's trying to do something neither one of us are going to want to do. Our influences are very the same. Our thinking about how to tour and all that kind of stuff, how we like things to look on stage and all that stuff. We've always been always thinking the same way. And creatively, we've always been able to work through it pretty well. It's just that part of like songwriting in particular, that's a tough thing to share. Sometimes it's like your ideas. It's like, I really want this to go this way. I really want this to go that way. And we've written some really good songs together I'm really proud of. But We write a lot of songs without each other too, just to get stuff done sometimes, I think.
But I think that's what you're saying. It makes such a great relationship is you both have that trust in the ebb and flow. And I also want to talk about when it comes to this new project, the follow-up to the acclaimed Reboot album. This time was a little bit different. You brought some friends in, a fresh new twist, but you also had a no rules approach. Is that correct?
Yeah, 18 artists, just like 18 artists, 18 different songs. They get to pick the songs and do them the way they want to. We all meet in the studio when it comes time to record it, and we collaborate there. They have the lion's share of how that song comes out in this project. Reboot 2 for sure.
Also, they can use their bands. They can use
However
their
they wanna do it.
producers. They can use our producer and our studio band. It's all over the place. Most of the acts, especially that are out of genre, Hailstorm and Marcus King and Kingfish, they all, Thousand Horses, all came in with their bands, had already rehearsed their songs the way they wanted to do them. So we kind of started with something that was pretty well put together, and then what if we did this and this and this, and then obviously we performed with everybody. So, definitely Ronnie's voice is kind of, he went toe-to-toe with Lizzie Hale, which that's just asking for a freaking cardiac arrest right there. The fact that he's still sitting here is having this conversation is a miracle.
I went away for a couple of days after doing that. I had to go heal.
Of all of the collaborations on the list, like you were talking about, was there one that particularly surprised you when you heard it for the first time?
Well, it would the most radical departure from what we do would be Hailstorm with taking Boot Scoot Boogie and taking a metal approach to it.
But Hardy did it too.
Hardy did, yeah. Hardy stepped up and did the same thing.
Anyway, we're backstage at the show, and talking, and I said, "So what are you doing?" I heard you were wanting to do Hillbilly Deluxe, and I could just tell by the twinkle in his eye. I'm like, he's up to something. He goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "I'm gonna get it." I said, "Well, tear the hide off it, man." I said, "That's always been one of my favorite songs that we ever did." He goes, "Me too." He goes, I go, "Well, get on it." He goes, "Oh, I'm gonna get on it," and he did. Oh, he did.
The rest of them are just really refreshing, versions of those songs. And I mean, like the group. Golly, Haley Witters did one, and she described the way she approached it was the lonely disco cowgirl, and it's a traditional country song because she's not the cheating kind. And where she took it was kind of where Casey Musgrave took Neon Moon on the Reboot 1 record, and I would say that song pretty much set the precedent for going ahead and turning everyone loose on Reboot 2. It's like, let's see what you got.
That was my hands down favorite from Reboot was the Casey Musgraves Neon Moon, and I was so excited to see now this one, the second one with Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then they just showed up and did their deal, and so I think we learned from that.
Yeah,
it's funny because her version was so off the page, and Morgan's was very much on the page. He definitely it's got a little salsa spin to it, but it was kind of the opposite with Brand New Man because Luke Combs on the first one, kind of stayed in the original pocket, and then Warren Zeiders, took, as Ronnie suggested, maybe a bit of a Nirvana vibe here when we were in the studio, and the band just jumped right in that hole too. So it's funny how one to the other went back and forth.
That's what I love about these albums is it really takes you for a ride because it's different artists from different genres, and it's really inspiring to see. And I can imagine as artists, this is probably so fun for you guys. I'm so curious, like how does working with these different types of artists influence your own creative projects and the music that you're making for a record like this and just future music too?
Well, we actually look around and go, well, what in the live shows, what are we going to repurpose off the record to kind of grab that vibe that kind of refreshed the song to us? And it's a fine balance because you have that established fan base you've had forever, and now you have a newer. It's like we were just talking about a group of people that were here a few minutes ago. It's like the fan base has turned over, but yet they haven't left. They're coming back. They're coming back younger now. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we have an obligation to serve up to them what they they're digging on this stuff.
I don't think we've
with a fresh twist.
Yeah,
more progressive twist.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we've necessarily done a full pull on anything, but like from Brothers Osborne, some of those riffs and stuff off Hard Working Man, we've incorporated.
Off Reboot 1.
Yeah, off of Reboot 1. Maybe like the, which probably started on Red Dirt Road. I think Sugarland years ago did kind of a broken down version, but we sort of picked that up when we did that with Cody on the first Reboot. And now maybe live we take a piece of that kind of on the front, and then we kick into our version halfway through. We've sort of done a mashup sort of with the version. So, yeah, we pick up pieces, and we were talking yesterday or something about like that kind of ZZ intro with Play Something Country. That might be cool, something we could do with our version live. But most of these songs, after doing them, we stay true to most of our music in terms of how we recorded them. But some of these songs we just can't help ourselves. Like Boot Scoot is far from where Lizzie took it, but still it's gone. And Rock My World the same way. We're all over the map depending on what night it is with that song, with the break and whatever. We just get off the page.
It's hard fundamentally when you're creative types to just go, okay, we did this project at one certain period in history and these songs, and we're just going to cut it off there and stop, because that creativity doesn't stop driving you.
Right.
So, and which brings up the question, well, why don't you do like new material? We're working on that too. We need to work this record and get it, because we're really proud of it. Not saying that's going to be anything that's coming right quick. Yeah, at the right time. We'll do it, but it's in the making.
Well, like you were saying, I'm sure the creativity never stops.
It doesn't, and if that's the bottom line.
Let's hope not.
We're writers before we're those established songs, and we'll keep pushing it until we get in trouble and have to go to the principal's office.
So now, does this mean, I've got to ask you, with the success of Reboot and now Reboot 2, that this is going to be a project that continues on, Reboot 3?
I never thought we'd do Reboot 2.
It was never planned to do that, and I can't imagine what a Reboot 3 was, but when we did 1, I couldn't imagine what 2 would be like. So there you go.
What ultimately made you want to do Reboot 2, or decided that this was the next project?
Our manager, this has been like his passion from day one. He's the one that called us and to do 1, and then that worked and felt good. And he came back and goes, that we want to do Reboot 2, and he says Sony wants to be very much involved with that. And he said there's no limit to the budget. I mean, when do you hear that? So we went,
oh, really?
Okay.
Well, we got an orchestra ordered.
You're like, let's go. We're ready.
I mean, these days you don't hear that, right? It's
right.
That's
good.
Records.
You mean a small orchestra, Will? Is 60 pieces small or not? We've never had one before. So.
But they didn't question it. It was just like, go. He said there's no limit. So
rednecks with money is a dangerous thing.
Apparently something's working within their philosophy and the way they look at things and do business over at Sony that hey, we're glad to be in the middle of it.
And like we were saying, like we're such fans of the project Reboot 1 and now Reboot 2. I'm curious, it's like picking a favorite child, but at this moment, is there a track on the album that you really love or gravitate towards that you've had on repeat?
If I'm just going to show somebody something for my style of, I usually gravitate to Marcus King. I mean, that track just kills me.
Okay, I love that too. It too. But I would do Ain't Nothing About You.
Mm-hmm, great one.
Or Ain't No Way to Go.
There's a lot of stuff on there I love, yeah.
And now you mentioned this too, but the Neon Moon Tour, we're so excited. What can you tell us about taking this tour to this stage and what we can expect?
When we were in Vegas, we were there for 4 to 5 years, off and on, and we were sandwiched. We were all doing, let's see, it was Elton John, Rod Stewart. Anyway, the point is that in Vegas, the production that you're exposed to there is the best in the world. We started snooping around, and you go see Cirque du Soleil and see those fabulous backgrounds and effects, started snooping around. We found the company out of Montreal that does the majority of that stuff for production. So we went to them, and for the last 2 years, they've done our production, stage production. And we use massive screens, like 60 feet long and 40 feet high these days. And I think they want to make it bigger this year. That kind of stuff. It's just world class. And we've had screens for everybody. You see everybody has video. These screens look like you can walk into them, and the content is
really
stylized.
3D stuff. Very cool.
We meet with them, talk to them, come up with the concepts, and we're in that process right now.
And can we expect any of these guests that have been on the Reboot albums to make appearances on the tour?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've been doing some walk-ons on their stuff, so why wouldn't they come interrupt us?
We don't plan this
We
stuff.
screw their show up, bring
we
it
just show
on.
up and go, hey, can we do a song on your show tonight? Okay.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot wait to see you guys up on that stage. We're so excited for this album. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so happy I got to meet you. My family is going to love this. I'm going to give them the full report back.
Could please tell all your family we said hey?
I will take this back to New York with me.
Yes, absolutely. Put that in your suitcase.
Love your yacht.